Hello there. For this exclusive interview on WION World is One with me, Dasuni Athauda, we have the newly appointed Minister of Tourism, Harin Fernando. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Starting off, when you took up this role of becoming the Minister of Tourism of Sri Lanka, you made quite the statement by saying that you are on a political suicide mission by taking this up. Why did you make this statement, and why do you feel so taking up such a post?
So first and foremost, I had to be independent because my party was not making a decision when the country was unstable and we were going downhill. We are nosediving right now as we speak. So there was a need for somebody to step up and show courage and show attitude. And I thought to myself, it's not the populist choice because at the ground level, they say Gota go home, but he's still the president. So I'm taking a risk going into a government which is just not having the mandate from people, but just trying to stabilize the country. So everybody will find fault with me. Everything will be wrong for them. But I thought my conscience, my heart said somebody has to come and help this country stabilize us, and well, that's what I did, and I still stand my ground. And because I do want Gota to go home, I want the Rajapaksas to go home, but it's still a tough ask because we need the country to survive as well.
Also, speaking of the party that you came into parliament from, the SJB, is now currently working towards suspending you. So your political career pretty much hangs in the balance as of right now.
Well, it is for sure. But what matters to me right now is not about my personal politics. Honestly, I mean, this is quite common for politicians to say, I think about my country and did that. So I fall to that same bandwagon, but unfortunately, I need to stress the point that I honestly thought to myself, in 6 months we might not have a country. So you take a risk, you take a challenge. Like they say, I mean, tough times make a tough man. So I thought I wanted to take this challenge up. I mean, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, so I'm one of them.
Speaking of your decision to move away from the opposition, was this more of a personal choice, or were you compelled to do so? Because we've seen you in Parliament sort of hinting that given this current crisis, the opposition did not rise to the occasion given so many opportunities. Do you feel like the opposition let the people down in a certain sense?
Well, yes, and that's why I made this choice. And I thought, no, at least I should stand up because I wanted the party to come. I fought within our party. So if you really remember, around March 15th is the first day that we went close to President's Secretariat and had the protest. And we're the ones who came up with the slogan of Gota go home initially, because that is what we had on our heads. So from that day onwards, how long did we take not to make a decision? And me being the head of operations of my party, I made sure this government fell in 2 years. I called Sir fail, I called this is a curse, I bore those facts. First year, second year, I came to a point where Gotabaya Rajapaksa called and told my leader, accept it. So I've won my campaign. But when he didn't and he was dilly-dallying, it really hurt me to see I'm working with such a leader who does not want to take a stance on this kind of matters. So I still like him. I still think he's an ex-leader. He's the future for Sri Lanka. But I think probably because of lack of experience or these kind of situations, he would have just wanted to be on check. The fact that he then sends a letter to President and say that he'll accept it proves that he's not sure what he wants. And also now he blames that he would have never been able to accept a post under the president, but he sent a letter asking for it. So it's confusing me, and I mean they blame me thinking that I'm a guy who went for party or money or post, but people who knows me that I would not do that ever. Also, and I still want to be SJB.
Right. Also, you yourself said that you organized various protests against the president. Even in Parliament, you've said that the president is a fail. However, right now, you are working with him, or rather more or less with this government, to overcome this crisis. Why the change of heart?
Correct. It's a crisis. what matters to me right now is not my personal agendas, because we are not having the basic essentials in Sri Lanka. People do not understand this. If Ranil Wickremesinghe did not take it on the 10th of May or so, or close to that date, or 12th, I would have assumed by now we would have had 15 hours power cuts. I mean, we would have not had a liter of fuel, right? So that stability had to come. I mean, I hear that people are now targeting me because I've joined the government, but I have to insist I'm still with Go to Go Home, and I thought it is better to fight with the dragon rather than stay out and just talk about the dragon. So my whole purpose is to make sure that we stabilize. I took a ministry which is tourism, and our numbers have fallen so badly. This entire industry is down. We have a massive foreign revenue issue, currency forex issue. So me and Manoj took the challenge, and he took foreign employment, which we had the highest earnings for Sri Lanka of over $7.1 billion, which has fallen down to $3 billion. And tourism sector, which was about 5 to 6 billion, has fallen way less than 1 billion. So we hardly can afford this country anymore, and we will crash. So it's my duty, I thought, leaving party politics aside, to stand up for what I believe in.
As of right now, would you call yourself an opposition MP or a government MP?
I think I'm an opposition MP in the cabinet. It's quite unique, I would say. I mean, look, after all, Ranil Wickremesinghe is the only man in parliament, and he became the prime minister. Who knows, he might even be the president. So, I mean, I think his intentions were honest. When I saw it, I thought, I mean, look, come on. This man is just one person, but he's taking up a challenge. It's my duty to go support it. I mean, it's not getting into UMP or the government. It is just trying to stabilize, and I only hope Sri Lankans understand, leaving their political glasses away, and see it through. So that's how I look at it.
Also, mere days after taking up this post of being the Minister of Tourism, you were quite vocal on the government pushing for the 21st Amendment, which again is a main focus that even the people who've been protesting have been pushing for it, more specifically abolishing the executive presidency. What made you make that statement, knowing that you came into this new cabinet that was to push for the 21st Amendment?
Exactly. So what I wanted to do was bring the 21st and bring the 22nd as well. But currently, I mean, it should happen in stages. So you can't overnight. I think even the Gulf-based protesters have given a clear timeline. Even if you look at the Bar Association, they gave a clear about 18 months, because these take time. So see, what I'm confused and perplexed is that why SJB doesn't want to support it, because their 21st Amendment had the abolishment of executive presidency also in while going to the 19th. But there is an issue. For that, you need a referendum, right? You need to go to cabinet, then go for a referendum. It takes time. So what we want to do is first initially go to the 19th. That should be our start. So repeal the 20th and go back to the 19th, that the Prime Minister has more powers. And also we believe that dual citizens can't be in parliament. It's in retrospect. So even for this parliament, it is. It's going to be valid. So we're getting one by one out, right? And more than anything personal, it's what the country wanted. And coming back to the 19th is a good thing, because it's going to be independence. It's going to be the judiciary is going to be independent. The police commission, everything is going to come back and fall into place. And a prime minister who's responsible to parliament. So whatever decisions he makes, he has to get it endorsed in parliament. This is the system we wanted in the country. So 21st should be the first priority, and then 22nd should be our next priority, and we should set our timeline. So I was very vocal. If they were going to play games and try to delay it, I'll be the first to get out of it, because I came in good heart, good faith, good intention. We wanted a multi-party government. So I joined the multi-party, and so that's how it works.
If I were to put a question that would be purely situational, provided that the 21st Amendment is put into Parliament and it is defeated, what next for you?
Good question. I'm still thinking, what's next for me? Because I'm not going to have a concrete answer just like that. Well, I have nightmares. I can't sleep these days for sure. It is because it's a huge challenge, and we've taken a risk. It's a time that a politician got hacked to death, right? And we don't understand how bad the situations could become. So I hope the parliamentarians understand this, and they understand that the 21st has to be passed. So I thought it's my duty to be inside a cabinet, push it, make sure they get it, they bring it, and it's a multi-party, we all support it. If you don't, then you face the people. So, I've taken that's why I say I've always taken the tough road or the hardest road in politics. But right now I don't, like you said, when you said it just hit me. I don't have a party now. I don't know where to contest in future. So that's not my priority though.
Right. Coming back to the portfolio you've been given, tourism. It's one of the main aspects and areas that will help Sri Lanka's worsening economic crisis come out of it, purely based on foreign exchange. What does Sri Lanka's tourism plan look as of right now in the coming months, provided that the crisis, the Prime Minister himself has said that it's only going to get worse in the coming months?
Yes, so what we're trying to do right now is one big obstacle is we have lots of travel bans from various countries. Our biggest market is still UK, but markets such as the European, the Australian, the American, all those markets matter. And so it works with the others. If few countries have a travel ban, it's not going to look good at us. So we've met all the ambassadors and showed and given them the assurance that essential items, fuel for tourism sector will be a priority as an essential item. So there are a few decisions we made to make sure that happens. And if I tell you the numbers right now, it's shocking.
What would the numbers look like?
It's about 900 tourists that comes to Sri Lanka a day, where we had 10,000 more coming a day. And what's encouraging though, in March, after all this pandemic, everything settled in, we had over 4,000 tourists a day arriving to Sri Lanka. So we still have hope.
Do you think the crisis sort of impacted tourism?
Unfortunately, yes. I think the emergency regulations, shoot at sight, those were probably to scare. Shoot at sight that's not a law. You can't shoot at sight at any cost. But those things didn't go well for us. And no offense to all the ambassadors here. They have to take priority about their citizens who are coming to Sri Lanka and their safety. And we say that there's no medicines, there's no essential items, no fuel, no gas, no electricity. Who would come to Sri Lanka? So, but we're coming out of it, and I'm quite certain that within the next 3 weeks, we will do a couple of road shows, places like India, because they can come here, and Indian tourists is also a big market to us. So I'm hoping that our cricketers who are very famous in India will come with me along and just try to go to a few cities and do a road show to come back to Sri Lanka. And we also are trying to relax the restrictions on visa process, where you have to go online. Even that might sometimes be a thought of pulling out. So I want them to come on arrival visa. We're looking at loads of things, and to give them fuel. So we're trying to get all the CTB depots to be able to give access to all the tourism vehicles so that they can get their fuel without on queues. Hotels major hotels have all secured their fuel, and some big companies even source it outside directly from suppliers. So things will settle in, and this is the ideal time. And I wish to say, please come to Sri Lanka, visit Sri Lanka. It's a beautiful place. We are sitting on a treasure, and we are actually begging at this moment because of bad decisions that made in the past. So, but the Sri Lankan hospitality hasn't changed. Sri Lankan people haven't changed. So, please join us, help us at this moment. So that would be a great help.
Speaking of India, India in itself is a huge market for tourism, especially here in Sri Lanka. How have Sri Lanka-India relations in terms of tourism been over the past few months, and what can we expect as well?
Well, Indians have always helped us, not only with these tourism matters, but in our crisis. They've given us so much of line of credit, fuel, they've given all access. But I'm sure the Indian government also will help us there are tourists coming into Sri Lanka because it's a huge market, and Sri Lanka has so much to offer. We are a diversified country when it comes to weather and the location. So, an Indian tourist also they spend now. They're not the low end of the market like we would have imagined before. Now, the younger generation is quite out there, and we're trying to bring in some events simultaneously so that people have a good vibe about Sri Lanka, and they'll know Sri Lanka, whatever happens, the tourism sector will be protected. So I'll make sure that the tourism sector will be given priority in Sri Lanka. So that's fuel, gas, and that's my duty to make sure the hoteliers have all of that, and the tourists will be looked after.
Coming back into a political incident that transpired recently was what took place on the 9th of May. Protests that have been peaceful for months suddenly turned violent. What was the cause? Who do you think was behind this when the leader of the party that you represent, he himself, was attacked?
Well, I was lucky not to get attacked on that day because I wasn't there. I would have been the first person to go with him if I was in Colombo, but on that day I was in Badulla for a wedding. Having said that, I think it was Mahinda Rajapaksa's fault for, bringing out a crowd at a time which was sensitive, and any person with brains would have understood these people are his closest allies who would never forget him. People who has tattoos on their chests on him, on the face of Rajapaksa. So, he just actually created this whole incident, I feel. It's unfortunate. He would have never thought that this would escalate to such a level, but probably he wanted to show his brother itself that the brother is because of him. So it was some internal issue which got out of control and ended up with innocent MP being hacked to death. And I have met this guy about twice or thrice in Parliament. He hardly speaks, he's a very innocent man to what I've seen. And it's shocking, and even yesterday we feel that now that I've taken a post in the government, things are not good because people hate politicians, and this is a time where the entire country should come together and call a truce and say it's done, let's fix this country. That's what we need, and that's what our politician leaders should do, not do cheap politics, trying to promote GGG, the golf face screen, the protests. And I believe it now it's a point that we have to go beyond. Okay, let's keep the protest, let's keep the pressure on the president to leave, but let's all get together to fix the country because it's not looking good.
So do you think the protesters should call it quits right now?
Not really. Stay there. But I'm saying call it truce because then people also went and attacked MPs, their houses, burned them down. Only thing I worry is if that happens to me, my daughter and son's books, what are they going to do? How are they going to study? And they are not a part of this decision. So let's be mindful, do not take it to a different level. So that matters to me, and I believe Sri Lankans are very nice people. Let's not get there because I feel the politicians whose houses got attacked, they are in so much of vengeance. They want to take revenge, and they know the faces who attacked their houses, and it doesn't look good. Now everybody is being arrested, but that would not stop there. Some of the members want weapons. Not just an MP gets a weapon. I have never taken a weapon in my life because I'm sure I'm hot-tempered. So I thought, no, a gun is the worst thing for me. But they've asked for T-56, those machine gun weapons. So what? So there could be more trouble if we don't call truce. Parties have to come together. People have to come together and say, professionals have to come together, because I fear the next parliament is going to be the worst parliament in Sri Lankan history, because none of the professionals would want to contest after seeing what happened to politicians and how people reacted, how the riots happened. So it's a dangerous sign. So if we want these youngsters to come back into politics, let's also. So Ranil Wickremesinghe has proposed a brilliant idea. There'll be oversight committees in Parliament headed by MPs in Parliament, but they'll have 3 representatives, young representatives from the Aragala, the protests in Gulf Face. So that's a brilliant move. So they'll learn politics. So if people say they don't want the 225, that's an option where how you will start engaging and understanding politics and understanding who's good and who's bad. So quite interesting times, but we have to come together.
According to you, having former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at the helm at that time, and then having these clashes, following which he resigned, and now we have a newer Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Do you think this was a good enough solution for this crisis, given that the people right now, even right outside this premises, just a few meters ahead is the Gota Gogama protest site, that people have been protesting for months on end now, have been wanting for the president to leave. Is this a good enough solution?
Can I ask you a question? Give me a solution.
Give me a better solution. Questions. You're the one answering.
Yes, but give you a better solution. I don't see a solution. We are at an impasse. So we can't move past this. And what options did they have? I mean, President did what he could. He asked Sajid to come and accept it as the opportunity. He didn't. He gave him 4 or 5 days. He didn't react to it. I fought with him for 5 days, every day at meetings over 4 or 5 hours, explaining why we should take it, because people are suffering
but
outside.
Why didn't he want to take it up then?
Well, yeah, I mean, he was blaming that the country situation is so terrible, it's not fixable. But after election, how are you going to fix it if you can't fix it now? So that didn't make sense to me. Then his biggest argument was he doesn't want to be anywhere with the Rajapaksas are. But come on, I mean, there is a process. There should be an exit plan for Rajapaksas, because exit plan as in not to save them, but exit plan on a route. Imagine a person like Mahinda Rajapaksa was so popular. On that night, if he got out, he would have been killed. And Gotabaya Rajapaksa also must be scared of his life. He's like living like in a bunker. He can't step out of there. All the glasses also covers up with steel doors, right? I mean, imagine having to live like that after taking 6.9 million votes. So they definitely want a way out of this crisis. They want to stabilize, because I mean, they're politicians in the end. So I believe the protesters should keep protesting, but we need a political solution. See, if Gotabaya Rajapaksa resigns today, what's the scenario then? You have to select a member from parliament, and they have 152 members of their party. Nothing will change. They'll have another guy. You can have another Rajapaksa itself, right? So if we went there, that's what could have happened. So let's think beyond it. And what we have thought about was abolish the executive presidency. I think the executive presidency was the biggest mistake UMP did. But that was the correct thing at that time. But when we realized we wanted it abolished, and absolute power just corrupts any man, even it can happen to me and you. If you get that power, so much of power, you go nuts. And that's what has happened to Sri Lanka.
Also, some are of the view that this new cabinet and this new premiership is also very temporary. Like they might not see through for the months. Is that true?
Well, it's a challenge, for sure. I mean, it could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. It could be 1 month. If it all works, it could be 2 years. You never know. So it's a risk. It's a high risk, but it could be high profits or high losses. So we're trying to evaluate. I mean, it's tough to work with people I've criticized. It's tough to sit in a cabinet, but I don't have to work with them as such. I work for the Ministry of Tourism, so I want to make sure that tourism improves, or foreigners keep coming in, and we up our market. That's it. So you do your job. It's very temporary. You're correct. So let's stick to our job. RW should stick to his job, getting the finances right, getting the international connections right. See, the G7 says that they want to support us. That's a super sign. Stability is the first thing. So who is sitting next to me or who is in that cabinet doesn't bother me, because my role is very temporary and I want to fix it. And while doing that, I told RW, I'm not going to forget the Easter bombings. I said one condition I'm putting forward is that you have to get an international inquiry into the Easter bombing. So I haven't left my priorities. I still say Sir is failed, and that's why.
Do you still stand by that statement that this
course.
president has failed the
Of
nation?
course, I would say Sir is failed. And why I say that is, I told this 1st of November 2020, and I said, first year you will fail, but you still can repeat your exam and pass. But he failed the second year too. So now the country is starting to fail. I can't let the country fail. So Sir is failed, he has to leave, but we'll have to fix the country because, I mean, it's not about elections, it's not about re-election right now. I mean, if somebody is going to think about his re-election and make political decisions, I think he's just selfish.
And what can Sri Lankans as well as tourists expect in the coming few months in Sri Lanka?
Well, things will be cheaper, no doubt. I mean, comparatively, all the high-end markets will come down. I mean, if you sold a room for about $600, it'll come down. So things will be better, and people will actually embrace them because we are waiting to see people coming into our country again because we are an island nation and we love this whole energy that we have. I mean, people help each other. We're a beautiful nation. We are very emotional people. That's why we even go to the extremes because we are too emotional. Therefore, I think expect more hospitality, expect our kind and love, and actually the places also must be really better now because of not much crowded, and I mean, it's easy to enjoy Sri Lanka right now. That's what you can expect.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fernando, for joining us.
Thank you, Dasuni.
Stay with WION World this one for more exclusive interviews.